Hi everybody, welcome to a quick presentation video of a Trumeau mirror, which here is presented on pedestals. Typically they would be on some sort of a side table, but this way you can focus just on the mirror itself. And so Trumeau were used in houses, generally in the spaces between large windows, and that way if you had a series of large windows, they would be punctuated not by blank wall, but by a looking glass, which only further opened up the room. Now, this little Trumeau seems to belong to two different periods, and so stylistically, we see traces of the late 18th century, and then we see other elements of its decor which announce the neoclassicism of the early 19th century. And so since it doesn't stylistically perfectly fit into either the Louis XVI or the Empire period, I would date this to right about the year 1800. The pale green color is really more to the tune of the Louis XVI or the directorate of the late 1790s, as well as this rosace here. That's a very typical Louis XVI period motif. But then the two cornucopia, which sort of deploy from those scrolls centered with a rosace, those are much more to the tune of the neoclassicism of the 19th century. So stylistically, with that sort of taken care of right around the year 1800, one of the things we can quickly do when looking at an old mirror is you place your finger on the glass, and if there's an obnoxious gap between your finger and its reflection, that's a good sign in terms of indicating whether or not the mirror is old or modern. We see right away that there are dowels joining this piece together. There are a few reassuring cracks. Some of this molding is a little bit loose here on the right and the left. It's in a pretty good state of conservation, but there are certain parts of it which have been a little bit damaged or accidenté, as the French say. And then we see this missing bit of green paint down here where logically somebody would have run a duster over the years. And finally, of course, we have an authentic gilding where mainly we see the red paint which was first applied, and then we see the little lines that were left when the original sections of gold leaf, the little bits of gold leaf, would overlap. And so at those points of overlap on bits of gilded wood, we can see lines. And so now the final topic for us to discuss with regard to any old Trumeau mirror is this book by André Mailfert, The Land of Antique Dealers in French. And now André Mailfert was probably the most notorious forger to have ever existed, certainly in France. And here on page 34, after giving us an elaborate description of how he would fake these mirrors, he says, now a little bit of advice. Never buy an old Trumeau mirror. There aren't 1 in 1,000 which are authentic. Thanks to him. So, that's something to consider, because André Mailfert definitely would have removed some of the paint down here to make you think that that's patina, from an old duster. He would have doweled this together, obviously. He wouldn't have used glue. He would have used true, real gilding. He would have drilled these holes and kind of, abrased the sides here to make you think that these marks are not, traces of his forgery, but rather these are the authentic traces of how this mirror has moved around all sorts of venerable old homes. And then he would, probably just break that off a little bit to make you think that the moldings came off naturally as this piece was shipped around from chateau to chateau. He obviously would have used older glass. He would have fabricated himself, but he would have made the glass as it used to be made. And then in terms of these speckles all over the gilding and the paint, he writes in this book that the speckles that you'll see on old gilded wood, those speckles are in fact the dung of flies. And the idea, or apparently the truth of it is that over the centuries, many, many flies will land on these pieces and do their business, and that leaves these little sort of acidic looking speckles everywhere. And now that's a difficult thing to fake, but André Mailfert would drag these Trumeaux out into the courtyard of the obnoxious mansion he bought in Orleans with the money he got from scamming people. And he would sprinkle sugar and so on and so forth. He had this entire process in order to attract the flies and simulate the fly dung on gilded wood. So, that's really an important story to talk about whenever you're looking at an old Trumeau mirror. Because either we have, somehow or another, an authentic Trumeau from the year 1800, or we have an artfully executed fake, probably by André Mailfert. those are two pretty good options when compared to maybe an artlessly made copy. So with that being said, I really recommend Au Pays des Antiquaires for anyone that speaks French and wants to read a little bit about the history of the antique market and you know, some of the things you need to look out for. André Mailfert very boastfully describes the processes by which he would fake things, and it's pretty useful today for anyone who collects antiques to just understand what they're up against in their search for the truth. So anyway, I thank you all for your time, and at the very least, I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at this mysterious old Trumeau. Thank you.